welcome to my channel Tech with SAS. In the series of various architectural pattern videos, this is the first video which covers the monolithic architecture. So one question comes to our mind that what is a monolithic architecture? You can think of this architecture as a one big unit which houses all the functionalities together in one place. So basically a single unit which houses all the functionalities. For example, you see a diagram here, right? In this diagram, you can see that there are many functionalities like authentication, payment, shopping cart, and product info. They are part of one big code base. So it's not like that you have to create a separate code base for each functionality, like we use Bitbucket or Git or maybe RTC, whatever the tool which you are using for maintaining your code base. We have to create just one repository, and that repository will having all the functionalities together as one code base. The next important thing about this architecture is that the whole application is deployed as a single unit. So suppose, for example, in Java world, like because I come from Java background, basically in Java we use that var, er, or jar packages. So whenever we have multiple functionalities, so we create var, which has a lot of code which depict the functionalities and deploy as a single unit to our servers, maybe Tomcat, WebSphere, or JBoss, depending upon your setup. And also the important thing about this thing like scaling, right? So suppose uh, you want to scale your application, and also suppose you want to scale a particular functionality, it is not possible here because you have to scale whole application together. You cannot scale payment service, or you can scale product service separately. You have to scale whole application together. And next thing about it is like one tech stack, because uh, monolithic architecture basically having just one code base applications, then you cannot use multiple technologies here. Like suppose you want to use .NET, Java together in one code base, which is kind of not possible because at runtime you need one artifact deploy basically. So that is the issue. That is the one property you can say of a monolithic architecture. So we'll discuss about drawbacks and advantages in later slides, but this is like I'm just trying to cover the various attributes of this architecture. The next thing is that whenever uh, any developer is updating the code base, we have to be very careful because all the functionalities are commingled together, and suppose one small line of change in shopping cart impacts negatively to product info, that may stop working. So developers need to be very careful because these are basically function calls. So if any variable is added, removed, or something is changed to method call, those should be done very carefully by developers. And we even a single code change, right? Suppose a requirement comes from business to change, maybe add one more payment service to payment functionality. But you can't deploy that separately. You have to deploy whole application. That's the one thing about this architecture. So then basically, so yeah, so whatever we discussed right till now, like that was basically about the various properties about the monolithic architecture. So let's discuss about the challenges which we face about this architecture. The first thing is that because all the functionalities reside together, and maybe when we start a development, at that time we have less functionalities, less small code base. But as normally happens in business scenarios, requirement keep coming and we keep doing development. At some time, the code base become very large and difficult to maintain and very complex. Second thing is that the code modules are very tightly coupled with each other because they are mostly function calls. So if you change one variable in one code, in one functionality or module, it might impact other functionality. So That is also a challenge when we work on the monolithic architecture based applications. And like I mentioned in the previous slide, that whenever we need to scale our functionality, we can't scale it separately. We have to scale whole application together. So that needs more resources, more infrastructure cost to the company. Like for example, you have this application deployed in production, and you want to scale only payment service because like you have a lot of customers coming in for payment maybe at Christmas time, but you can't scale product payment only. You have to scale the whole application together. Then there's one particular case like whenever suppose any external service you are consuming as part of your application, and that service has multiple versions available by the provider. And suppose the one application like have like a payment service want to use the version 1.8, but product info want to use version 1.9 of same service. That's not possible here because they both functionalities are part of one big application, so they have to have use just one version of that service. So that is also a challenge here, that you cannot use the different versions of the same service into your application. Then even for a small change, you have to do unit testing for your application, your part which has been changed, but also the you have to do regression, right? Because whenever we test our code base, we have to do regression testing so that other parts are not impacted adversely. So the testing and all, it takes a lot of time. So the mark to market, like time to market is very high in case of the monolithic architecture, because a small change result into the whole compilation, unit testing, UAT, I mean everything, regression, everything will be done again and again. Then yeah, so it's not like that monolithic application is just not good. It was like a traditional way of developing applications till the time we microservices came into picture. So like because it's like a single application, single executable deployed to production. So a deployment day is not a headache. Like if like we have just the couple of or maybe few properties and one executable, like in case of Java, we use var ER. So it's easy to deploy the application. The second thing is development is also easy because all the functionalities are together. So if some new person joins into your team, they can just take one code base and understand the whole flow. So that is also a positive thing about this architecture. And performance is also slightly better because whatever the functionalities are there, they are like a function call away. So there is no network delay or latency. And because suppose if the functionalities are in different clusters, then it might take some delay or latency while calling those as a remote procedure calls. But here, all functionalities reside at same server or same application, and the package is stick together like one executable. So the performance is better. And testing is also easy because like maybe like in Java we use Eclipse tool, or so maybe like we can debug it like whole functionality one like very easily. So if you're able to up your local, then you can put debug points in the functionalities, whatever you want to test it, and debugging is easy as well. So the question comes that who needs this monolithic application? Because right now, what is happening that people are moving towards microservices architecture, and that is our next topic. But do we not need it anyways? But we have to think like very holistically that this architecture is also good for small teams and where like single developer team or like very small teams. So because they can easily coordinate and create the application very quickly. So if your application is simple and you know that it won't require very high scalability in future. Maybe like few applications which are internal facing, or we know that the users are limited, maybe they are like internal users. So in that case, we can utilize the monolithic application and very effectively, and it works like a charm. So that's it for the monolithic architecture. I know this is a very basic topic, but I started with this so that we get a good start. And if you like it, then we can also do the next videos on this microservices architecture, where I would like to basically tell you about the various aspects of microservice architecture, along with the comparing with the monolithic architecture. Then, suppose you already have working monolithic application and you intend to basically migrate it to the microservice architecture. So what are the strategies? So those I will talk about in my upcoming videos. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe my channel. Thanks a lot.